What's up? Welcome back. Today we're working on my terminal emulator. His name is Termi. We're about like a month in. I think our first commit was somewhere like at the end of January. It's the end of February today. And where we're at right now is we have something that kind of works a little bit. Alright, so here he is. I have like a shell. I can type like ls. I get some stuff. I can clear him. I can type like, maybe I'll make him a little bigger and say git log, and we have like, you know, something that like is even like reflowing and is working like somewhat okay. There's like some bugs here with text rendering, and we started fixing some of them. Sorry, not text rendering. There's some bugs with re-layout, I guess, in the like pager less. So when we like scroll in this guy, he's not working like perfectly, but he works like decent. And the bug we were working on yesterday, trying to improve this, is if I resize this window, sometimes you'll see that like if I show kind of where the terminal should be, this like red box, there's like at the bottom of the screen here, this colon is supposed to be like right at the bottom, right? So if I go into like a different terminal emulator, oops, that's not, I'm so used to typing paint that I just started typing. But you know, if I like resize a normal terminal emulator, we see that like this colon stays pretty fixed in the bottom left corner. And what we found yesterday was that our storage method is kind of like insufficient. Specifically, we kind of like store all of our data as like a linear buffer of just like text. So we say like, you know, ASDF, and they put like a \n and then like XYZ. Hold on. Stop it. Thank you. Okay, so this will get like rendered as ASDF and then XYZ here. But the terminal programs that run on the terminal emulator are like allowed to kind of move the cursor to an arbitrary position. So they can write over here and they can say like, can you please put like 1, 2, 3 over here? And so we go like, well, there's nowhere we can write 1, 2, 3 in this buffer to get to that position. So what we do is we like pad some new lines and some spaces, space, 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 and then we write like 1, 2, 3 over here, which works fine until the point where they try to write 5, 6, 7, 8 like this. So they kind of expect like the 5 to go on this spot and the 6, 7, 8 to like wrap here. And what happens is we say, okay, so where's the 5 go? Well, the 5 will go somewhere like in here. But semantically, we don't know if this new line that's like right next to this 5 is there because we used it for padding, or because a user actually typed the enter key and a new line's supposed to be there. And the reason that's important is because, let's see, if I like just hit enter a bunch of times and I scroll back in here, when I resize the terminal, it like reflows here, and the way it manages to do this is because it knows where like new lines are supposed to be. And so there's like two wrap types, right? There's like one that is we hit the edge of the screen, and there's the other one that is we hit a new line. And so like kind of like this guy when he's like writing to arbitrary locations, he's using like this like 2D grid, but we need to like keep semantic new lines in there to keep track of this stuff. And so what we did last stream, yesterday, was we prototyped this like new buffer implementation. So we say, fuck all this, we don't do this anymore. And what we do instead is we pre-allocate a 2D buffer, womp, 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 womp. But we kind of flag it as like totally empty. And as people write, we like fill it out. So you write like ASDF, and that goes like right here. And then we kind of like mark that like this is the area that's written to in this row, and then we like in this row we're gonna have like nothing here, nothing here. And then as these expand, we like mark them by like keeping track of their lengths in like a separate buffer over here. And we also store independently of all of this new lines over here. So this is like, this was a new line here, but there wasn't one here, here, here. And that lets us like work in this like 2D grid space without worrying about like losing track of new lines, and without this like wrapping case failing. And so what's on the docket for today is we have this like prototype version of this. Here, let's see if we can pull it up. If I go, one sec. Let me get Rust installed in this terminal that I just opened. If we go back over to the test project, we can go here. We can see like here's our prototype, and if we put some text hello world ASDF in a 7x10 term window, if I run this, we get like hello world ASDF, and he's wrapping, and we have like this like scroll back, and what'll happen is as I start pushing more text into here, that scroll back will start to get populated with the stuff that doesn't fit in the visual section anymore, right? So this stuff all wraps, and then we see like scroll back has this guy as one line, and if I start injecting new lines in the stuff that I rendered earlier, like I was just like shove some new lines in here, and maybe like over here, we'll see that like the scroll back correctly knows where the new lines are supposed to be, and also that like some lines in our visual section will like end early as expected. So something that kind of works, and today's task is integrate, basically copy paste this test project, shove it into our terminal emulator, figure out all the bugs, and maybe we'll hopefully get to somewhere where we can like see it working. So I think the plan of action is like maybe start by trying to like see any integration that works, and then once we get there, we're going to find all sorts of problems with the current implementation, so we'll have to start stubbing out new APIs and stuff like that. Okay. Sorry, I was ignoring some chat messages to get through intro, but now we have a little bit of time. So what GUI are you using? What are we using for the GUI? We're using like programs written in Rust, and so we're using this like Rust immediate mode GUI framework called eGUI. It's pretty decent. It has like a nice little balance of like simplicity and like usability. Like I think most immediate mode GUIs don't even like attempt accessibility, and so like I know that I've seen some stuff about like accessibility eGUI, which makes this feel like maybe complete, even though I haven't like used it. But like when you like go under the hood and you like look at the widgets, it feels a lot nicer than something like Qt. Where like when I work with Qt widgets, I feel like I'm like struggling to understand what's happening, and when I like look under the hood in eGUI, it's just like, oh, it just puts text here, and like I figure it out pretty easily. So I like it. Okay, so let's go into our buffer section, and if I checked out the right commit, a couple streams ago, we tried upgrading our terminal buffer. We added this like terminal buffer 2 that had all the same APIs as our existing buffer, but we just like flagged them all as unimplemented. So I think probably what makes sense is to open up our test project source main, and we have this code from our sample, and we can just kind of like copy paste all the relevant sections into our project. Copy all of this. All of this is going to come over here somewhere. Somewhere. Just gotta figure out where. Here we go. And let's kind of reorder this so that the line comes first, then the visible buffer, then the terminal buffer. Line, visible buffer, terminal buffer. Okay. And we're gonna be calling this guy terminal buffer 2 because that's the upgrade scheme that we were using was we're gonna replace the existing terminal buffer with terminal buffer 2, and then once he's finished, then we can completely swap him out. So I think it's just this. I think. Terminal buffer 2, blah, blah, blah. He insects. There's double implementation of insert data, right? Because this is the one that we used in our test project. And this is the one that we had stubbed out from yesterday, or a couple days ago. So we'll just kind of destroy this guy, but we need to make sure that we preserve his API. So cursor pause data is kind of it. So kind of slap this guy like this. Okay. And then we can delete this implementation because this one is worse. Okay. So now a bunch of stuff probably isn't compiling. So we're using y and x directly in here. So we can just say let mute x is equal to cursor pause x and let mute y is equal to cursor pause y. Cannot mutate immutable variables. So we just slap a little mute on this guy. And is that everything? No. No, it's not. Okay, so what's happening here? No field visible. So visible buff is what this is called now. No method named serialize on visible buffer. Oh, maybe it's just self. What is it? What are we looking at here? Scrollback. This comes from self scrollback, which is a string, but it wants it to be a vector of bytes. I think you can just clone into, and that'll be fine. And visible is just, what does our serialize command do? We'll say this is called visible serialize visible, I guess. And then to extract the visible section, we say serialize visible. Okay. Which turns into a string, so we can say visible into. No field width here on, so we can say visible buff dot on both of these guys. And a bunch of the tests are failing, but that's okay. So can we say, can you like conditionally compile stuff out? And can I like just say like don't compile this? Rust do not compile section. Is there like the equivalent of if 0 in C? Conditional compilation. Target arch. Okay, I just want like bool. Test pan blah blah blah. Can I just say like config false? Like that feels like something I should be able to do. Config cannot be a literal. Can I really just not like, I don't want to like delete the code. I just want it to like never be compiled. Rust equivalent of if 0 preprocessor. Because if def like feature. Config, yes, config, not yes. Ugh. Where does yes come from? Annoying, annoying, annoying. Config attribute. Yeah, okay, I guess we can just comment it out. It just feels like it'd be nice to be like, fuck off. Cannot. I guess I could like make a like I could use one of like abuse one of the existing configuration options. But whatever, it's fine. It's fine. We'll just comment it out. Okay, and then terminal buffer 2 is private, so we need to make him public. Okay, pub, boom. Now we need to make our implementations public here, so pub function new, that seems reasonable. Reasonable, and now we need to return the right type. So before we were returning terminal buffer insert response. And this guy has a written range, insertion range, and new cursor position. And I don't really know what those are going to look like yet, but we can say that for now, the written range, I think, and the insertion range are only used for like format tracking. So these before, we had like a format buffer, like a format tracker that said like, okay, so 0 to 50 is blue, and like 50 to 100 is red. And these like were in like buffer byte positions, so that when we like serialize the string, we could just say like, okay, so like we're gonna look at the formats and we're gonna like take this chunk from that string and make it red, this chunk from that string make it blue. But we can't really, I don't think that's gonna work very well anymore, so we'll have to think about that. But for now, we'll just return empty ranges. But this guy is important, the new cursor position. So after we like insert all of this data, we have to like keep track of where the cursor ends up after all of this stuff. Which will look something like what? So we have our X and Y positions. And after every line, we reset X to 0 and we increment Y, which means that the new cursor pause Y is probably just going to be Y. And X is a little more complicated, so we like hard reset it every time. But I guess it's like related to the amount of data we consumed. Hey, how's Termi going? It's going pretty well. We're swapping out the data model right now, but which is a pain in the ass, but I think that it will make everything easier and fix some bugs, so worthwhile. I guess what we'll do is we'll say let new cursor pause is equal to cursor, like the existing cursor pause. And then on each line, we'll say new cursor pause x is equal to where we started writing from, plus the amount of consumed data. And the new cursor pause y is going to equal y. Then we increment for the next line, and we're chilling. And so then here, the new cursor pause can just be returned as new cursor pause like this. Cannot borrow self as mutable. Oh, because everything here is requires mutable, and I don't really want to fix that right now, so we'll just write mutable everywhere, even though it doesn't really make sense. So maybe here I'll write fix me, no mute. And then here I'll write mute and say fix me, no mute. And here we will write mute and say fix me, no mute. And here we'll write mute and say fix me, no mute. All right. Okay, so we compile. What happens when we run? What happens? Oh, and this was at some point before 16 minutes. And we just forgot to fill it in. Okay, so clearly we forgot we have like this like debug code that prints a bunch of extra shit, so we have to remove that. So that was in buffer, serialize, and we just delete this and this. I think other than that, I think it was fine. We'll find out. Oops, backspace doesn't work because we haven't implemented it, so we have to be very careful. Do not click backspace. But that looks close. Y position feels wrong. Oh, fuck. Clear's not implemented either. Fuck. Okay, we'll get bigger, and can we just, like, let's do something simpler. Echo, test. That's working. Show debug render. Right, the size is not fixable right now, but here it looks like scrollback's like kind of working. The cursor isn't being tracked correctly. This is fucked. So I think when our cursor gets off the edge of the screen, we have to make sure that his position is like tracked correctly. So I would guess it's related to this like new cursor pause tracking this stuff here. So I would guess that we need to clamp Y probably. Let's think about this. So I guess the inputs and outputs to this are like kind of flaky in my head right now. I don't really know what is expected. So like if somebody, say we have something that's like width by height, right? So we have like 3 lines. And somebody wants to write and initiate like a scrollback. I guess with the way this is written, they would have to start with the cursor at the end, like somewhere in this line, and then insert a new line. That new line would push us down by 1, and that would push the cursor into like the last spot. And so anywhere where we're doing that like pushing of lines and like evicting stuff to the scrollback, here we just need to make sure that like the Y position doesn't drift too far. So I think nothing in this loop is using Y after that point. So I think that we can just say Y is Y minned with self height -1. Right? The maximum position he can be is at the bottom of the buffer. I think that's reasonable. I think. We'll see if that makes things at least look a little bit more reasonable. Okay. So here, when I type, I think there's another bug where tabs aren't handled correctly. So I think when I type ls, the cursor actually gets kind of fucked up because the tabs are pushing things to like wrap widths that aren't quite expected. Okay, but other than that, this is working. When I scroll, the scrollback stuff is kind of a problem, because we're flagging stuff as not having new lines, and so then when it goes into the scrollback, he goes like, "Huh, no new line there," which is kind of odd, and so they get like kind of like pushed back to back. So, what does that mean? What does that mean? I wonder if that means that like this concept of storing the new lines like we are is wrong. I wonder if we just say we only insert a new line if the line is shorter than the max width. No, because what if somebody intentionally inserts a new line at the maximum width? Okay, so here, but they're not like ls-l. Oh yeah, he is inserting new lines. He is, because there's a new line right here. There has to be. There has to be. Showing new lines here is not useful because we are always putting new lines here, so it's not very helpful. But maybe it's related to when we are evicting to the scrollback. Because here there must be a new line here that's getting lost. Test, so this is TES2.c, and so after TES2.c, like, this should have a new line at the end, but he doesn't. Why the fuck not? So probably when we're like evicting to the scrollback, we do say if there was a new line in that line, please put that new line there, which seems right. I know that there was some like kind of wacky shit going on with scrollback, with like the GUI parsing of new lines, because they were like trailing new lines that weren't really working correctly. So I would like to see if that's related in some way. So maybe it makes sense for us to, when we say get the data, maybe we print out this guy first. And somebody told me about this debug macro yesterday. It says print this thing and return it. Okay. Debug is not a trait. It says format debug, I guess. Okay. So when I press enter a bunch of times, and then I type, let's make this bigger, ls-l, enter. Oh my gosh. Oh god. Visible. Oh, because these are fucking buffers and not strings. God damn it. Okay. So we're not going to debug log that like this. We're going to say let scroll back is equal to this. And then here we'll write scroll back into, and here we'll print line the scroll back. And that will be good enough. And maybe we'll debug lot print it so that we can see the new lines printed where we want them to be. Okay. So make this bit debug render, increase font size, ls-l. Okay. So here we see TE at the end, and I press enter, and test gets no new line at the end, which is odd. This is odd to me. There should be a new line here. So it looks like maybe here. Oh, I know what it is. This is never getting run, I bet. Yeah, we can prove this. We can say, setting new line. This is, or no, not even here. Yeah, here. Yeah, this is fine. If line to evict has a new line, I'm pretty sure this is never ever set. And we'll explain why in a second, but I just want to, oh fuck, I want to get rid of that other print so it's not spamming us. All right. How's stream look, by the way? There's a big red line on Twitch, but OBS is showing 0 dropped frames, so I'm not really sure if the stream, and it says like unstable, but when I look at it, it seems okay. But are you guys like dropping frames and shit? It's fine. Yeah, okay. Twitch web UI probably bugged. Thanks. Thanks. What was I doing? I already forgot. It was oh, we wanted to see if the new line thing was ever being set when we were evicting to scrollback. Right. So if I come out here, make sure this red box is in stream, and I just go hold enter, ls-l, hold enter. Yeah, that like new line thing is like never being run. And the reason for that is because there's like a mismatch between what we expected in our like prototype and what like the code actually does. And it's in our ANSI parser. There is a new line thing in here somewhere where he actually strips out new lines from the input and flags them specially as a new line. And the reason for that is what like an application, he's going to have his like cursor. He's here, like here he's where he's writing to, and he's gonna say like 1, 2, 3, and his cursor's like right here, ready to put in the next character, right? But what actually happens for programs is they send the sequence \r\n, which is like reset the cursor to position 0. Fuck, I actually have to. No transparency in this, so let's make it selection really tight. Yeah. Fuck, where am I? I'm lost. So he says like reset the cursor position here, then go down 1. And this is different than if you were to just insert new line. Because if you move the cursor back here and then we see an insertion of a new line, we're going to try to like inject a new line right here, which is wrong. Or we would in the previous implementation. And so now I don't think that should happen. When we see a \n, we should just set the new line flag. In which case, I think this is fine. So I wonder if we can just strip out this like new line bullshit. Because before, like, what we would do is we would just move the cursor down, and then we tried to write to that position later, we would, like, inject new lines as we needed to. But that's the whole point of this fix, is that we don't want to be just randomly injecting new lines anymore, so we have to, like, handle it correctly. Okay, so when I press enter here, nothing's happening, which is kind of odd. Oops, fuck, clear doesn't work, of course. So it is, in some cases, doing the right thing, I think. Echo test. Fuck. Let's try again. Fuck. Cargo run. Make it bigger. And if I say echo test, so that is not going to the right spot. What if I do test \n. Nothing. Okay, so there's something wrong there. Expectation here is that's weird, because when we tested like our buffer before, when we tested this before, it was working in our like prototype. So what's different now? Missing -e. Does \n not work without -e? I kind of assumed it would, but echo -e test or echo test \n. Oh yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. All right. Good eye. So let's try that. Let's try echo -e test with some new lines. Okay, so we got like some new line. We got one new line in like that whole thing. So there's a bug probably in where would this be? Where would this be? Probably a bug in where we're checking how much data we consume. X plus consumed. Oh, okay. I think probably what's happening is you know, there put like the terminal emulator is saying like echo, he's saying like test, and when he sees a \n, he injects carriage return new line, right? That's what we were just talking about. Then what happens is we inject, like this gets like split up into 3 sections: test, carriage return, \n. Okay. And what's probably happening is there's something not being handled correctly related to like the new cursor position and when we see like a new line at the start of the line, right? Because like this gets put into like here with the cursor here. Then after the \r, the cursor is now here. And then when we see this like \n, then the cursor position, the way we're calculating right now, is we're saying that the new cursor position x is 1 plus the number of bytes consumed, which is nothing. So the cursor's just not going to move. And the new cursor pose y is this. So I guess the new cursor position, if we see an x, has to go to the end of the line, so that the next character that it's written will wrap to the line after. Maybe. Maybe? Maybe. It seems possible. I also don't know if that works right. Like, I don't know if when we insert data here for the line, we say, hey, here is our position. And here we don't do any checking to see if position is greater than the length of the line that we might be allowed to use. So there's a bug here where this guy has to get clamped. So I guess we can just say if pause is greater than self buff len or equal to, we just return 0. We copied 0 bytes. Consumed nothing. Then we increment x and we increment, or we set x to 0 and we increment y. So that handles that case. And then I guess here, we should check if there was a new line inserted. Instead of, we can return, like maybe we want to return a new x cursor position from the line. The line is responsible for the x position, and we ask, hey line, where did you move the cursor to? And he'll tell us. That seems reasonable. So we can say like struct line cursor line insertion response. I feel like this is a clear case for a debugging session. The problem is that like I've struggled with like Rust buffers of U8s and visualizing them as strings specifically in GDB. To the point where I don't want to do that unless it's like for debugging like numbers and stuff like that, it's okay. But for like the data types that we're working with right now, it's just like a pain in the ass, and I think like not necessarily worth it. So we'll say that we have like some sort of like consumed flag, which is how many bytes of input we ate. And then we have like new x pause, which is going to be where is the cursor after the insertion. Okay, so this guy's going to return a line insertion response. And in this case, if the position is this, we're going to say we didn't move the cursor, and also we consumed no data. So new x pause is pause, and consumed is 0. And then at the end here, in the case where there's a new line, we set the new x position to the end of the line. New x pause is self buff len. Yep. And consumed is new line pause plus 1. So that's what we were returning before. And then in this case, the new x pause is pause plus copy len. And consumed is copy len. Okay. Sure. And response is spelt wrong here. Line insertion response. Which is the problem with autocomplete. It just lets you propagate the typos forever and ever and ever. This won't compile because we were using this guy directly. So we say let line insertion response is this. We move the cursor. The new cursor pause X is just response new X pause. New cursor pause Y, and the data is new response consumed like this. What color scheme is this? Okay, so we've discovered that this is a fucked up version of the color scheme Monokai. So we have color scheme, or Sonikai, I should say. So this was like, I used to use VS Code, and this is what it's supposed to look like. Which is not what mine looks like. And that's because I think it's like set. There's some like Vim attribute that's like, hey, do I support 256 colors? And that's not set. Vim 256 color. I don't think this is the one I've seen before. nvim set color depth. Color. Background. I don't know. We debugged this at some point. I can't remember it anymore. But it's something about like we're not using 256. Oh, here we go. Term GUI colors. Set term GUI colors. Yeah. So this is unset, which means that it just uses like something else. I don't know. There's something about that. Anyways, not that it matters, you know. But okay. So what were we doing here? We were trying to see if we were fixing new line X position not resetting correctly. What was the bug? I've forgotten what we observed the problem was that we were just trying to fix. Oh, it was new lines. New lines not getting injected into the scrollback. Right. So here we're back to fuck. So even after those changes, the new lines are still not getting injected when we press enter. So it'd be nice to maybe see what we get out of here. So maybe for now, we'll just say, what data are we trying to insert? And maybe we'll write this down at the top. And we'll just do a simple little smack the enter button. And so, oh, fuck. I want to say stood stir from UTF-8. Every goddamn time. Every time. Okay, so I hit enter. And so we're seeing that he's inserting a prompt line and also a new line. And so if I say here, echo test. Okay, so we are getting one new line out of the two now. So it's probably related to the /r followed by /n. Like just like getting a new line by itself at the start of the line isn't working correctly. And so we could look skis here. So it'd be interesting to see what the line looks like after we insert the data. So let's look at that. And probably we're going to need a custom debug implementation for line, maybe. No, that'll probably work. Let's see it. Okay. So after I press enter, he did insert this new line, and he did set new line to true. So that's an improvement from before. But we're not seeing the cursor move down. Okay. What is the cursor position after this? Oh yeah, I guess because we're just not moving the cursor in that case, and we should be. So here we kind of need to say we need to handle this where we say like if new cursor pause x is greater than the width or equal to it, we need to wrap it now, not later. So new cursor pause x is equal to 0, and new cursor pause y plus equals 1. But then it can go off screen again. But then it can go off screen again, which is not what we want. Which kind of means that like if we want the cursor, we kind of need, that means that we need to handle this like scrollback eviction here. Like after we insert data. We don't do scrollback eviction back here. Unless we need to do it like before returning. Like it's the first thing we do in the loop, then we check if we need to break. Okay. We have to think about this like very carefully. So what is the sequence of events here? It's right now, we say, is there data to insert? If so, we say make room for new line. Then we insert data into that line. And now we're saying that this is not happy in the case where line is full. Should insert new line after. And so if we kind of adjust this a little bit so that we almost want to do this like twice, make room for the new line, because we kind of want to do it like here as well if cursor has gone off edge. And is that true? Like, can we fold these into like one single make room for new line? Maybe if we do return if data is empty, or we do this while not data is empty, which is kind of what we're doing here effectively. Make some space, response. Ugh, my head hurts. My head hurts. I mean, we could just like factor this out into a function. And then maybe that would make sense. Maybe. Wait, no, I'm not really convinced that this is a true, if this is truly a problem. Because if my cursor position ends up over here, past the end of the line. Oh yeah, if they inserted a new line, if there was a new line in this buffer, then we do have to move the cursor right fucking now. Yes. Okay, cool, okay. I think that there's an extra piece of information that we want here. So when we do this guy, do we just want to say, like, tell if there was a new line? Which we already have the info for. So maybe we just say, like, if response, or line, new line. Here we have to do something, evict more data. I think this is starting, yeah, that's starting to make sense to me. So we're gonna make a function here that's like evict or push line to scrollback. Dang, this terminal emulator has really captured your attention. Yeah, I'm having fun. I'm definitely having fun. And here we just take all this stuff out. We slap him over here. And maybe he just returns nothing. No, he'll return the new line. Yeah, sure. Okay. So now this turns into a self push line to scroll back. And here, if there was a new line, we say push line to scroll back. But only if the cursor pause Y was at the bottom. And Y is equal to self-visible buff height -1. So maybe we call that like something we say like max Y index is equal to self.visible buff dot height -1. Maybe we even calculate this up here. We say here, this is minimum with max Y IDX, and if this is equal to max Y IDX. I guess we say if it's greater than max Y index, and then clamp it down here. Push a line to scroll back. And okay. Yep. That seems right, maybe. And then I guess in this case, new cursor pause dot x, or x equals 0, which we do unconditionally here. Ooh, I feel like I'm missing something to do with like the x handling here. So if we push the new line, like surely our new cursor pause x is 0. Surely. Oh, I guess that's not true, because the x can be like when they insert a new line, it actually does just move the cursor down. Okay, maybe this is right. Could be. We can try it. Maybe we should write some unit tests, but maybe I don't feel like it and we can just struggle, you know? Fuck. Really? Still nothing? Why? Print line. Pushing line to scroll back. Let's see if like that is triggering. Oh, no, of course not, because we're at the top. So here, like new line is true, but y is not greater than max y idx. So here we need to do something like else if new line. Here we just say y plus equals 1, like this. But here we set y plus equals 1 anyways. So like, what's the fucking problem? Oh, because we don't set it, we're setting y, but not new cursor pause y. Aha, I see it now. So we have to do this. And we'll say, note, this is different than the y index variable, and that might be confusing. And that's might be wrong, but it's definitely confusing. And we'll say, fix me here, not note, because it's fucking ridiculous. Really? Still no? Can we print line moving cursor? Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Maybe it's just this. Y plus equals 1. Maybe? That doesn't seem right. There's like almost certainly an extra, like a double increment happening there. But now this is working the way I expect, which is good. And ls-l it's not doing it correctly at the, in this case, so y plus equals 1 here as well. And am I high for thinking that this is double incrementing? Like, why is that not a fucking problem? I'm confused as well. Oh, I guess because this double increment just never happens. Because we're doing the, like, the new line is happening in an empty condition. So maybe we do else. No, something about this is weird. I think new cursor pause x is here. We don't reset x to 0 until they try to write some data. I think it's this. This guy should just go down here. Unconditionally, we should be using the new y. No, we shouldn't. There's something odd here. It's about like, okay, right now we're just getting like inserting like ASDF. So if the old cursor pause here, if it was like 0, 0, we insert ASDF and that's it. The new cursor pause should be 4, 0, right? But if we put in ASDF \n, the new cursor pause would be 0, 1. And if we wrapped, it would be, if we hit the end of the line, say the line width was like 4, the new cursor pause would still be 4, 0, and it would be like the responsibility of like next time for us to push the line? No, I don't think that's true. I think we should push the line no matter what. We should like, well, let's see. What happens in console? This is not going to work because bash is going to do it for us, but it does seem like the expected behavior is that we get a new line as soon as we hit the edge. Okay. So I think it's just if line response dot new xpause. Yeah, we'll just do it. We'll do it like this. We'll do it like this. X is equal to new response new xpause. Okay, that makes sense. Then if x is greater than or equal to self width, we say x is equal to 0, y plus equals 1. Okay. And we say if y is greater than or equal to self height, or is greater than, yeah, sure, then we push the line to scroll back, and y equals max y dx. So here we'll say greater than max y dx. Okay. And new cursor pause x equals x, and new cursor pause y equals y. I don't see any problem with that at all. Except for maybe here, we don't want to do this up here anymore. I'm not sure about this stuff anymore. And then here, we just delete this guy down here. So why are we doing this initially? I think we just maybe we like heal y outside the loop. So while y is greater than or equal to self visible, y is greater than max y idx, we y minus equals 1, and we push a line to the scroll back. No, we just say fuck you, that's not allowed. Assert y is less than or equal to max y dx. Yeah, then we don't need to do this. And then everything's just fine? That might work. And that feels like sane. Looking at the actual code there, there's nothing like crazy in here. This is like very straightforward. But maybe it won't work. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Maybe it's Maybelline. Okay, so pressing enter there is doing the right thing. And ls... Fuck, I tried to backspace and that crashes everything. ls-l. Okay, so that's promising. That looks like it's working correctly. So here we're seeing that, like, when this guy moves now from, like, purple to yellow, I press enter, the new lines aren't being preserved, which is good. Echo test. Echo -e test few new lines. Echo -e test r test2 \n. Yeah, that seems fine. I feel like the buggy line was setting new cursor pause y with the minimum of y and max IDX. I agree. I think tracking the new cursor position independently from x and y was causing mistakes. And so really, like, just we shouldn't be tracking new cursor pause at all. We should just be writing that new cursor pause at the end of this whole thing is xy. And I'm pretty sure that, like, we've just simplified this a lot. I think there was also, like, there was like some handling of y being outside the valid ranges, and we can just, like, kind of force that not to happen, and that makes everything a lot easier to implement as well. Yeah, that's oh fuck, ls has tabs in it, so cursor pause gets fucked up, but that feels fine. Yeah, I think we got there. Which makes me think that we're at an integration that is working to some extent, right? So we have v0 integration with scrollback and new lines. Okay. All right. And so now we can just start fixing. We can just start fixing bugs. Not bugs, like crashes. So let's just start kind of, maybe we start working with, we'll like, it'd be interesting, like, nice to do them in order of what's most fucking annoying. So I think backspace is the first thing that's going to be, like, we need to fucking not crash on backspace. So somewhere, he's going to say backspace, who calls, oh, just move the cursor back by 1. Okay, so let's just say 5750, we're working on backspace. So why is this crashing? That doesn't seem like he's doing anything crazy. Oh, because that's not what we're seeing. It's 604. We're seeing backspace actually ends up calling a clear line forwards. So many episodes not implementing backspace. Now it's the first thing. Well, now that I have it, it's okay. So I will say that crashing is much worse than it just doing nothing. Doing nothing, I can just be like, fuck, whatever. But it crashing the program, it's like the instinct is there for me to, like, to crash the program unconditionally. So clear line forwards. Okay, so here we can just say self visible buff get line cursor pause.y, and then we can say line dot len is equal to cursor pause x. Holy shit. Oh my god, that's so much easier. That's so clean. Oh, and I guess line new line is gonna equal to something, probably false, maybe. Fix me, not sure. And I guess this has to be this if the line length is smaller than x, and we need to keep it that way. So we need to say cursor u size min of the cursor pause x and line len. Here we go. And for now we will return none, and we'll say fix me. Color tracking is completely broken. Hell yeah, baby. Okay. Backspace, 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 backspace. Woo! Okay, okay. Okay. Backspace, done. That took 2 minutes. Easy. Okay, and I guess we can just see, like, we'll just, I guess clear is, we type a lot as well, so 600, clear forwards. So we're clearing forwards from the cursor pause. So this is clearing everything in the visible buffer. So self, no, we also have to write down 01, 00, 00, clear forwards. Okay. So this should be straightforward as well. We have the visible buffer, and we can just say get line for y in cursor pause dot y to self visible buff height. We get the line. We might have to cache the height here, I'm not sure. So we get the line. And we just clear it. No, because we need to clear forwards. So I guess we start with the first line and we clear that line forwards. So we say let it is equal to this. We say if let sum y is equal to it next, we clear this line. Oh no, we don't even do this. We can just say clear line forwards, cursor pause, yes. And then once we've cleared the line, then we say for y in cursor pause dot y plus 1 to visible height. Clear that line fully. Visible buff line, get line y. Oh, so easy. Fix me color tracking is completely broken. Whatever, let's write it like this. Program run. Okay, so what this is supposed to do is if we put the cursor in like a specific spot, and clearing forwards should clear the whole screen. So first of all, clear should work. Fuck! Not avoided. 619. Clear all. Oh, that's different than clear forwards. This is easy though. For line and for mute, for y in 0 cursor pause. Oh, for 0 in to the visible buffer height, we do this. Clear, 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 clear. Clear them all, baby. Okay, so clear working well. And then what I wanted to test was, you should be able to do something like echo hello, you know, echo something. And then we should be able to say like, put the cursor at some position. So we'll put it at like line 5, column 5. And then we should be able to say, could you please clear forwards, which I think is 1J, I think. I have to look that one up. Let's see, parse it. ANSI escape codes. I think it's 1J. Well, I think clear. Oh, 0 is clear from cursor to end of screen. 1 is clear from cursor to beginning of screen. 2 is clear entire screen, so it's 0. Fuck, something was unimplemented there. Okay, well, we just won't typo. Oh, oops, we can't resize, so we actually have to make sure that the thing is totally visible. Yep. And so we say echo -e set cursor position to 5, 5, and then it was clear forwards. So that's looking good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that looks like it's working. So that cleared everything from position 5, 5 onwards. Perfect. Perfect. That's sweet. And then we should be able to say echo -e escape 2J to be like uber clear, please. Which it did. But I don't like what happened with the prompt line here. Something about that's not doing what I expect. Yeah, something about that's wrong. Oh no, that's fine because the cursor doesn't move. Yeah. Because when you type clear, the cursor goes to the top left, clears the screen. When you just type clear, the cursor stays where it was and then clears the screen. Sure, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. We're good. We're chilling. Okay, let's go. Something about this was broken, so I went backwards and pressed backspace, and that was at buffer 630. Delete forwards. Sure, makes sense. So is this delete forwards within a line or delete forwards? What the fuck does this do? Test canvas delete forwards. So he put some stuff in a buffer. He deleted from 1 onwards, and he's trying to delete 1 character from position 1, and that deleted 1 character in the line. And I think if he deletes 10 characters in a line, then it stops at the line. Okay, so this is delete forwards within a line. How is this different than clear line forwards? Is this just the same fucking function? And I just didn't realize and implemented it twice before? I think it is. That's pretty funny. So, okay, so clear line forwards. Nothing. We hit a new line, hit a wrap. Yeah, that's funny. We just implemented the same fucking function twice. Delete forwards. So why are they used in different contexts? We have to be careful here because it's very possible that I made a mistake. So clear line forwards. Oh, because delete has a limit of number of characters. So clear line forwards is like a special case of delete forwards, where delete forwards is just delete forwards with like clear line forwards could be implemented as a self.delete forwards cursor pause self width. Right? That's how you could implement this. I see. Okay. But for now, we'll just do it this way. Color tracking broken. It's fine. We can implement it twice. I get it now. So let mute line is equal to self visible buff get line cursor pause y line dot new line is equal to false, I guess, right? If we're clearing the line. But that's only true if we hit the end of the line. So here we really want to do like line len is equal to the minimum of the cursor pause x plus num cars and line len. Easy. And how do I guess if num cursor pause x, like do it, let's just never delete the new line. Maybe we'll say fix me should new line ever be cleared here. I'm not sure, but maybe for now we will say no. For now. Okay. So now if I go type some stuff, go back, hit backspace, that's working. Okay. Sick. Git log. This will clearly... Oh, that's not triggering anything yet. That's interesting. Going up is triggering something, so 596. Oopsies. What did I just do? 596, GG. Insert lines. Right, so this is if you have some text in a buffer. You know, you're like, you have some stuff. if the cursor is like here, anywhere in this line, and he inserts lines, it's going to like take this stuff and just clear it. Like he's going to try to like scroll, or let's say that we're like at 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So say we're like insert 2 lines. That's going to insert 2 lines here, and then delete these 2 because they rolled off the edge of the screen, if I remember correctly. And we can check by seeing what the unit test did. So he did nothing in an empty canvas. Yep. If we test edge wrapped, okay, so we had some stuff. He inserted 1 line. If this is 5 by 5, right? So this just inserted an extra new line in here between the 9 and the SDF, right? And here, when he pushed off the edge, the XYZW gets pushed off. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. That's right. So I guess the old way was simple. We just inserted new lines somewhere in the buffer, but it's less simple now. In this case, we actually have to, I guess, work backwards. Yeah, I think so. So we go line by line and copy backwards, I guess. So we say cursor pause Y is like the relevant piece. And if we're going to do something for line in 0 to num lines, call this I for now. And what are we going to do? We're going to, maybe we go from num lines down to 0. Because I think that we want to go in backwards order if we're copying things forwards, right? Like say we insert 1 line here. ASDF has to be copied here. Or say we insert 2 lines here. That's a better example. We need to go ASDF gets copied into this line. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 gets copied into the line below. And then a new line is inserted, and then we clear this line. Yes. So we do something like cursor pause dot y plus I is the line we're copying from. What is the line we're copying to? Cursor pause dot y plus num lines plus I. So let copy source. Let dest is equal to this. Then we copy from source into dest. So we say dest dot equals source. That's fine. I think that'll just copy all of the attributes of the line once we implement assignment. And then we clear the source. Yes. So this has to be self-visible buff get line. And this has to be self-visible buff get line like this. Except this isn't going to work because Rust is going to get angry about like mutability guarantees where he's going to say, well, get line can only be called once for this thing, which is like a reasonable thing for him to get upset about. So maybe we say, we ask for all of the lines. It's like a circular buffer. Let me think. There's an API that we're missing, which is like maybe getting an iterator of all of the lines, a vector of all of the lines in order. We can do, yeah, we'll say that. We'll fuck it. Function get or lines ordered. And then we can say mut self. Split on the pool of lines. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, but the problem is that there's the pool of lines is like also circular. So if you like, first of all, the line pool is like fucked. This is like where you're doing some like some tricky like multi-type array bullshit where we're like, to get the line, we are like doing some like pointer manipulation and pulling the pieces out that we need. So the pool of lines is actually not really like a pool of lines. We're kind of like treating it like it is one. So I guess you do just need to say like function get all lines. And we can just return a vector here. I'm pretty sure that's the easiest. Like, it's fine. Vec line A. Hello, are you using Godot with Rust? I've only used Godot for like one project on here, and I did not integrate with anything external. So I haven't done that. But I could see the value. I'm going to at some point have to go back, but I feel like game engines feel like against the way I want to write code, which is like, you know, sometimes you just have to like fucking suck it up, right, and just like do it. But I think that if I were to go back, I think that I want like libraries, not like frameworks, just like in general. And I don't like the way like game engines like shoehorn you into their way of thinking. But you know, if you were actually trying to write a game, you would use one because it's like the right way to do it. Are you writing a Doom-like game from scratch? No. We have like this thing on the right is just like so that people have something to look at. We're not really working on that. We're working on like a terminal emulator right now. Sounds like Bevy. I have heard good things about Bevy, but I've never tried it. Okay, get all lines. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to take our circular buffer of lines and turn them into an ordered list of lines. Got it. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing where we like extract the data that's relevant for each one. And we're going to say for I in 0 to self height, we are going to extract from this data which piece that we want. So this will also be unsafe. This is a unsafe as fuck function. And we're going to say that the index that we're working with. Okay, well, let's first get these, we'll first turn this into like a vector of lines that are ordered, and then we'll rotate it by the circular buffer offset. I think that makes most sense. So let mute ret is equal to vec new. And the reason I think that's easier is because it'll make it easier to extract multiple pieces of mutable data at once from Rust. Because Rust doesn't really like you doing that. And we can say, for I in self height, we can say ret.push a line who has buffer bullshit like this. Self width, IDX, new lines, IDX. So here we'll just call this IDX. And this is actually not what we want. Because this, I think, will not. I think that Rust won't allow. Oh, oops, sorry. This guy has to be. Oh, yeah, well, I would think that Rust wouldn't allow this. And it's not because there's just another compilation error that's blocking this. Right, because all of this stuff just doesn't fucking compile right now, of course. Okay, trouble? Show me my errors. Yeah, okay, so now it's angry because I'm trying to do multiple mutable borrows of these slices, which is fine, I can fix that. So I can say let line data width is equal to self.width. Oh, that's it. There's nothing to so we say let buff is equal to data split at mute self width. Yep. Let len is equal to lengths split at mute 1. And let new line is equal to new lines split at mute1. But now we need to actually reassign these guys. So we say buff and rest. The rest is here, and then we say data is equal to rest. And so then these guys need to be mutable. Yep. And then we say len equals rest and new lines equals rest. Yep. And then here we say buff len new line. And here len is len 0 and new line is new line 0. And we need to put a little and mute here, which probably means that these guys need to be mutable. No, we're chilling. So index isn't used. And then we just need to rotate this guy. So ret.rotate left, I think, by first line index. I think. So this will like uncircular the circular buffer, get it contiguous. We got all our lines. And so now we should be able to, in this guy, say let lines is equal to get all lines. Yep. And so now this is lines this guy, and this is lines that guy. Okay. Here we have to make it mutable. These guys need to be maybe and mutes like this, and so then I think these guys don't have to be mutable anymore. Oh, god damn it. So this doesn't work either. I have to do like another split at mute here. Fuck me. Okay, so let A, B is equal to line split at mute, and it looks like we're splitting at cursor pause Y. Plus I. So source is going to be A last. And dest is going to be B num lines, I guess. Just looking at the math here, I haven't really like thought about like what the fuck is actually going on here, but these guys look like the same math is gonna work here. Kamuna, thanks for the prime. Appreciate it. Might as well. That's fair. You know what? I like that type of thinking. Might as well indeed. Okay. This is mutable like this, and so it looks like that's compiling now. We're gonna have to double check that this logic is right, but I think it is. Maybe this is num lines -1. I'm not really sure. So if we're inserting one line, we're gonna copy one line forward. No, that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right. So now we just have to implement this assignment, which doesn't exist. Hey, what color theme is that? We're gonna have to add a command. We get this so often, but it's Sonic Eye with term GUI colors off. Using some default color scheme in Alacrity. I don't really know if it's using like, I assume it's not using 24-bit colors, so I don't really know like who's determining what these guys look like. But yeah, there's some stack of bullshit. Okay, so B is this, and so I guess we have to do like star B is equal to star des is star source. I guess maybe we take a reference to source. And okay, and we're gonna just have to implement now a copy for line, which doesn't exist right now. So where is that? Struct line. Impl. Assign. Is there mul assign, assign? How do I just implement like equals? Rust implement assignment operator. You cannot. Moving a variable it's a core component of Rust ownership semantics and is not overridable. Okay, so we actually have to do element-wise. Okay, that makes sense. So we say dest.newline is equal to source newline. Maybe we make a function for it, because it should be owned by the line. So maybe we'll do function copy from other, and the other is a line. We don't care about its lifetime. And we say buff is equal to other buff. Maybe it's, can you do this? I'm actually not sure if this will work. I think you have to do self buff copy from slice other buff. I think. And then you can do star self.len is equal to star other.len. And star self.newline is equal to other.newline. All right. Which does just seem like copy and clone. Yeah, it's okay. That's fine. It's fine. Because I don't think that there's like a rusty way to do this with the normal operators. And so where were we? We were in insert lines. Here we go. And we were just doing let dest is this, and we were doing dest copy from other source. And this feels like it should work. Oh, but he needs an insert line response, which is some ranges used for formatting, which we have not fucking fixed yet. So we will just say none, and say fix me. Formatting completely broken. Expected rain. Oh, what the fuck? Why did I think these were options? This is 0 to 0, we'll just say, for both of them. Cargo run, baby. And we need to find what the insert lines command is. ANSI escape codes. And probably insert line isn't one of these. Oh, actually, why are we doing it this way? We can just type info comp and look for it. Except these are fucking useless names. Insert line. IL. Insert line is escape parameter L. So I should be able to say how do we test this? Echo test \n test 2. Okay. This guy needs to have an E on him. And so then after we insert test and test 2, I want to go back up by one line and write hello just to double check. So this should make it so that it prints hello test 2. Maybe I need to do hello new line. Okay, yeah, there. Test hello, test 2. Right, because the X position didn't change. And then I want to try inserting some lines here. So if I say, could you insert 5 lines, please? The test 2 should get pushed down by 5. Fuck! Index out of bounds, length is 0, but the index is 5. So we can look at 637. Right, and so we have to say here, if... So first of all, this is not... yeah. So if num lines dot is greater than or equal to b len, we just don't copy this one. So I guess we say if numlines is less than b length, then we do a copy. Otherwise, we just clear the source. Shouldn't clear, also clear the scrollback. I think it's like undefined behavior. So it can, but it doesn't have to. And we just like haven't implemented. There's like an uber clear that does clear the scrollback. And we haven't fixed that yet. Okay. Okay, that's promising. So I do see things moving 5 lines down, but it looks like it's maybe... Okay, so that is what I want. I have like test, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 empty lines, then test 2, which is good. And so now I'm just not really sure if the line that the cursor is at is supposed to be empty space. I'm not sure. So let's look at the spec. We look at the spec. Look at the spec. ECMA 48. Womp, 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 womp. Oh, fuck actually looking at spec. We can just look at this. Clear. No. So we when we execute this line, test hello is up here, test 2 is down here. And when we do it in our termi, which is somewhere, I've lost him. Here we go. Clear. We see test followed by test 2 hello. So there's something like totally fucking wrong about that. Right, so it's the line after the cursor position is the one that's moving. That sounds right. I think. So now if we run this, it should match console behavior, I think. Nope. Okay, console. Let's get test 2, go up by 1, print hello, go down a line, extend by 5. Okay. Test 2, go up by 1. Oh, this is just a different fucking command, which is confusing. But now that looks the same. Test hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, test 2. Test hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, test 2. And are these in fact the same command? Test, new line, test 2, go up by 1, hello, new line, insert 5. Okay, yep. Yep. That's looking good. There's some bounds checking errors here for sure. Like cursor y plus I plus 1. So we have to say if cursor pause. So we're saying let, like, what is this index even supposed to be representing? Source IDX equal to this. If source IDX is greater than or equal to lines len, we continue. Otherwise, we split at source IDX. This guy is actually fair to write expect here and should say source IDX should be guaranteed to be a valid element. Yep. Okay, numlines doesn't have to be mutable here. I think we're chilling. All right. So what else is implemented? Some snapshotting stuff and insert spaces. Clear all should clear the scrollback. According to our previous implementation, although, like we said, this is undefined behavior, but for now we'll say this. And set window size, also unimplemented. So I guess let's do insert spaces first. Which should be pretty easy. Insert spaces, inserts data, will not wrap. If line is hit, data stops. So this is the same as insert lines, but horizontally. So we can say let line. That's so funny. I said let and typed line because in my head they're so intertwined now because we've been working on lines. Let line is equal to self cursor. Nope. Visible buff get line cursor pause dot y. If cursor pause dot y is greater than or equal to self visible buff height, return terminal buffer insert response who has written range 0 to 0, insertion range 0 to 0, and new cursor pause, old cursor pause. Nothing changed. Okay. Which actually is just going to be unconditionally what we write here at the bottom as well. Fix me, because we're not handling color tracking right now. Fix me, color tracking broken. Yep. Okay. Line dot so what are we doing with the line? Line insert spaces from the X position for num spaces. Yep. Which means that we have struct line somewhere, and he can say function insert spaces at some position and some num spaces. Okay. And what's he doing? So for X in pause to self dot len, we replace. No, we do not replace. We push the data over. We are pushing data over. Which means there's like some mem copy we can do here that makes sense. What did we do before? Holy fuck. That's a lot of code for something that sounds so simple in my head. Right, so we have num inserted and num overwritten, which makes sense. Which I think that concept will be the same here. And then we filled the overwritten stuff with spaces. And then we spliced in new spaces. Yeah. Okay, I think that still makes sense. So num inserted is num spaces minned with the width minus the line length. Does that still make sense? Num inserted. Right, so that's num spaces. Right, so this is the remaining length. And we clamped it up here to be num spaces is the width minned with num spaces. So the maximum amount that we can insert is the number of spaces. Maximum we can insert is the number of spaces. Does that matter? Sure. Then here we're saying this is the what is in here? Let's name it. Let remaining space is equal to this much. Right. So we can insert the smaller of the remaining space or the number of spaces that they want to insert. Yep. Which means we don't have to clamp here. And num overwritten is here they're saying line range end minus buff pause. So this is the num overwritten. So num spaces minus num inserted. So this is how many, right. So the number of spaces is how many they want to insert. Number inserted is how many that we stuck in, and num overwritten is the difference between the two. So that makes sense. And then they're clamping it to say that we can only overwrite enough so that we don't go past the edge of the line. Right. Okay, so let something about this. We're missing the condition of line range n minus buff pause. Right. Right, we can only overwrite so much. But I'm not really convinced this is the right. But it's bright enough. So we min this with self buff len minus pause. And then we say for I, what did we do in the other version? We filled that with things and we spliced stuff in. Right, but here we don't have a splice method, but that's okay. That just means that our splice has to be replaced with a copy. Okay, so we're copying for num inserted. And we're doing like a is there like a copy within a single slice in Rust? Right, I want to like copy a chunk forwards, which you would normally do with a mem copy, like in C land. But in Rust land, you can't have like a mutable reference to the slice and an immutable reference to the slice that are overlapping. So is there like a copy within? Nice. This is exactly what I was expecting. Okay. So we want something like buff copy within, and we want to copy from the copy is related to how many bytes we're inserting. So we're copying from pause to pause plus num inserted. And we're copying to pause plus num inserted. Is that right? I think so. And then we are just replacing everything that we from pause to pause plus num inserted plus num overwritten. Fill with spaces. I think that's right. Now there's something that's kind of fucked up in here that like, why are we doing num inserted plus num overwritten here? When we can just clamp it. So num spaces is equal, let num spaces equal to num spaces dot min remaining space. Yep. Which means that that's just num inserted is num spaces. Something about this doesn't feel right. We're missing something. And it's that I think this copy within, say we're at like position, we're like right here. And we're insert one space. The amount we're copying is actually like the whole rest of the buffer. And so this copy plus num inserted is wrong. This is everything. I wonder if it'll let me do that. And then we set pause to pause plus num spaces like this. We fill it with empties. And so now this overwritten doesn't need to be set. We just need to make sure that like let num spaces equal to num spaces min with the remaining space. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Which means that this is num spaces like this. Yeah. Wow. It's crazy how quick, like, we got down from like a lot of stuff down to 4 lines that are just like really obvious. We should have just started at the really obvious thing, you know? That's okay. Okay, so let's get a little test string. Oh, fuck. Mute. What if video game sounds like that? Yep. There's some character that talks in some video game that sounds like exactly like that. And I can't place it. I can't place it. There's why is that stuck in my head? That's gonna bother me for like fucking years now. I'm never gonna think of it, and it's gonna be stuck in there forever. Okay, so it's Legend of Zelda. Legend of Zelda. NPC talking. Oh, Breath of the Wild, maybe? It could be.
Responding to
Oh, add. Oh, and I clicked it. Fuck.
emails takes time, but not with Grammarly. In a few clicks, Grammarly's generative AI
It would. No, it's not this. Wind Waker or something. I feel like I didn't play enough Zelda for that to be so embedded in my head. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I'm sure I'll get there eventually. It would have to be like N64 era or later, for sure. I didn't have a GameCube. It seems too stupid for it to be Wii. New Penguins, definitely not. Like, is it like The Sims? Sims 3 voice lines. No, Sims 3 is more like they sound like European almost.
Dag! Bips!
Oh, that doesn't sound European. That just sounds stupid. Super Mario Sunshine. Maybe I just didn't have a GameCube. Like, why would this be stuck in my head? Super Mario Sunshine NPC. Okay, let's do some work. I'm gonna just fuck this. This is so stupid. I'm gonna let's make a test case here. So we're trying to say, write the word test. Okay, then write the word test2. Go back by 5 characters, and then say hello. So that should be say test hello. No, because I forgot the open brace. Now it says test hello. Okay, now we should be able to say, could you please insert 5 spaces, and then it should say test 5 spaces. No, then it should say test 5 spaces, then test 2. No, because it's an @ sign, not a P. There it is. There it is. Okay, so this is what we're looking for. And now in here, we can say echo-e test, test2, open brace 5D, open brace 5 add. Fuck. So that's 374 out of bounds. Copy within. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so copy within has some sort of constraints that we're not satisfying. If the range exceeds the end of the slice. Okay, fine. Fine. Or if the end of source is before the start. Okay. Still crashes. So I guess this actually has to be minus num spaces, probably. It's shadowed, but it is still used because we're only shadowing it by minning it with remaining space, just to make sure that it like fits in the area, you know. I don't know how I feel about shadowing anymore. Like, in C++, I fucking hated it. But in Rust, like, with, like, type moving around, it, like, feels like it makes sense. And, like, with const by default, it feels like it makes sense. But, I don't know. Okay, so 1 is working, 2 is working, is not, 3. So it looks like it's, like, getting clamped way too fucking early. Why is that? Remaining space. Copy within. So remaining space is how much room we have. Makes sense. Buff len minus the current length. All right. All right. Fine. We'll use the debugger. Rust GDB target debug termi. Break here. Continue. Fine. We'll run it. And what's happening here? So num spaces, they're trying to insert 3. P self buff length is 50. Okay, so P remaining space 41. Yup. So num spaces just stay 3. Yup. And we're copying within. Pause to self buff. Oh, we have to. We didn't reset the. It's because we're not changing the buffer length. It's because we're tracking length individually. So it's self.len is equal to self.len plus num spaces clamped to self buff len. There we go. There we go. Simple, simple, simple. So now we should be able to run that same test with a 5 here. 6, yeah. 1 space, 5 spaces. Yeah, cool. Cool, looks like that's working. Looks like that's working. And so we've actually implemented a lot more since clear forwards. I just forgot to write it down. So we implemented, where are we looking? Where are we looking? So it's insert line, clear forwards. It was like, what did we do here? We did like delete forwards, clear line forwards, insert lines, and insert spaces. Clear all. All right. I think that's a pretty good natural ending point for today. Because the pieces that are missing are like the recording system where we need to like write down what's in the buffer and restore it, and we like that's for later. And we've implemented everything else other than color tracking and window resizing. I also added a function to get lines in order. I guess that was related to one of these features though, probably, maybe, I don't remember. It must have been for clear forwards. It would have been related to that because we had to get the lines in order to clear all of the lines after the one we're currently looking at. Oh, but yeah, I think this was pretty successful. My gut says I'll have to double check, but I think that these implementations are just easier. Like, I bet that if we delete all of the code, it's unfair to check right now, but I bet that when we delete all of the code for like the previous stuff where we were like doing all this like line padding shit to make sure that everything fits in the right spot of the string, like this like 2D system is just so simple, right? There's no padding bullshit to worry about. It's just like get the lines, put the stuff in them. And I really like having the line abstraction. That makes things like so much simpler. It's also crazy. I was thinking about this the other day, how like we were struggling so hard when we were trying to work with this as like a 2D buffer directly. But once you add in just like that line abstraction, everything becomes so much fucking easier. And it's like just getting like the right level of abstraction can like really just clear up what the fuck you're doing. But it also like shapes how you think, which is pretty weird as well. Okay, sorry. Rambling. But yeah, we accomplished a lot today. Like, I think everything should work now, I guess, if we don't resize. So if we look at like git git log. Like, uh-oh. Uh-oh, that doesn't look right at all. Something in here is fucking broken. Is this it? Oh, were you still looking for the guy talking? Am I gonna get, like, fucking slapped by... Ooh. This is very similar, but not what I'm thinking of. I like, we're not... like, what I'm thinking of, it almost sounded like they were, like, talking backwards. Like, you know? Like, that kind of... Anyways, not important. Maybe the color codes make a break. I think that, like, the color codes, we should have, like, no color code tracking at all. It looks more like scrolling up is not working correctly. Going down seems to be okay. Scrolling up isn't. So I think probably what we're going to have to do next is we're going to have to implement the replay system again so we can, like, take a closer look at how this is broken. So that's probably what we'll work on tomorrow. But then we have to get set window size working and color tracking. But color tracking will come last. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Even though it's, like, buggy, we've made a lot of progress. And I'm happy with the progress we made. So if you like what you saw, we stream most days from 1 or 2 o'clock Pacific time for around 1 or 2 hours. We're working on this terminal emulator right now. It feels like, at this point in time, it feels like we're going to continue working on this terminal emulator for a while. I'm having a lot of fun. But, you know, it is, like, the channel is kind of more like variety, so it's just whatever I feel like working on is what we end up working on. So we've covered, like, operating systems, AI... I shouldn't say covered. We've touched operating systems, AI, 3D, like, game engine, like, Linux interop with webcam, like, all sorts of stuff. Just, like, whatever I feel interested in at that point in time. So if you want to see more of that, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, you know, the typical streamer bullshit. And if you're watching on YouTube, you should swing by on Twitch, say hi. I think that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the next one. Bye!